Rory McIlroy is walking back into a tournament he refused to play last year, and this time, he's doing it as an underdog. For the first time since 2021, the four-time major champion is entering the FedExCup Playoffs sitting outside the top 10 in the standings. The man who has won this exact trophy 3 times, more than anyone in PGA Tour history, is no longer the favorite. He's the storyline. And what happens over the next 3 weeks could either cement his legacy, or expose the first real crack in it. Here's what nobody's talking about yet. Insiders are already questioning whether Rory's heart is even in this. One prominent golf broadcaster went on record just days ago saying he doesn't think McIlroy will make any noise in these playoffs at all, suggesting his real motivation is sitting somewhere else entirely, months down the road. So is this a comeback story, or a farewell tour before he mentally checks out? Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what's at stake, why this moment is more fragile than it looks, and what it would mean if Rory McIlroy pulled off the impossible. Before we get into it, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We cover the biggest storylines in golf as they unfold, and trust me, you don't want to miss where this one is heading. Let's set the scene. Rory McIlroy arrives in Memphis for the FedEx St. Jude Championship as the world number 2, a 6-time major champion, and the owner of 30 PGA Tour victories. He is, without argument, one of the greatest golfers of his generation. But greatness doesn't erase pressure, and right now, Rory is under more of it than people realize. This tournament, the FedEx St. Jude Championship at TPC Southwind, is the opening event of the FedExCup Playoffs, golf's version of the postseason. It's a 3-stage gauntlet. Win it, survive it, or at least perform well enough in it, and you punch your ticket toward the biggest prize in the sport, the FedEx Cup itself, decided at the Tour Championship at East Lake, where the winner walks away with $10 million and a 5-year exemption on tour. Rory knows this stage better than almost anyone alive. He's won the FedEx Cup 3 separate times, in 2016, 2019, and 2022, making him the only 3-time champion in the history of the event. If he wins it a 4th time this year, he sets a record that may never be broken. But here's the twist. He almost wasn't here at all. Rewind 12 months. Rory McIlroy skipped this exact tournament. He simply didn't show up to the playoff opener at TPC Southwind. For a player of his stature, that's not a small decision, it's a statement. Whether it was fatigue, scheduling, or something deeper, the absence spoke volumes. So when the PGA Tour announced this past Friday that McIlroy had officially committed to the 70-man field in Memphis, it wasn't just a routine roster update. It was McIlroy choosing, deliberately, to walk back into the fire he avoided a year ago. This will be his 12th start of the season on tour, a remarkably light schedule for a player of his caliber, which tells you something about how selectively he's been picking his battles in 2026. And that selectiveness is exactly why this moment carries weight. When Rory shows up, it usually means something. Here's the part that should genuinely surprise you if you haven't been following closely. Rory McIlroy is heading into these playoffs ranked outside the top 10 in the FedEx Cup standings. That hasn't happened to him since 2021. Think about that for a second. This is a player who has spent the better part of a decade as one of the top handful of golfers on the planet, and right now, by this specific metric, he's not even cracking the top 10. His lone win this season came at the biggest stage possible, the Masters back in April, where he captured the green jacket in dramatic fashion after a first-round 67, his lowest opening Masters round since 2011. It was an emotional, redemptive moment for a player who had chased that specific major for years. But since then? Quiet. He hasn't teed it up competitively since the Open Championship last month. No warm-up event. No tune-up round. He's walking straight into playoff pressure cold. That combination, one signature win, a long stretch of silence, and a standings position he hasn't seen in half a decade, is exactly why so many people are asking the same question right now. Is Rory McIlroy actually building towards something big, or is he coasting on the fumes of an April miracle? Rory isn't stepping into an easy field. This isn't a case of him swooping in against a watered-down lineup. The FedEx St. Jude Championship in Memphis is loaded. World number 1 Scottie Scheffler is in the field, the same Scheffler who has dominated stretches of this season and remains the standard every other player is measured against. Tommy Fleetwood, the defending FedEx Cup champion, is back to defend his crown, chasing history of his own. And Justin Rose, the defending champion of this specific tournament, returns to Memphis looking to go back-to-back at TPC Southwind. On top of that, keep an eye on the younger names crashing the party. A 21-year-old rookie made waves this season by clinching his playoff spot in just 5 events, matching a record previously held by Tiger Woods. The old guard isn't just fighting each other anymore. They're fighting the future too. So when Rory walks onto that first tee in Memphis, he's not just fighting for FedEx Cup points. He's fighting the world number 1, a defending champion desperate to repeat, and a wave of hungry young talent that isn't intimidated by his resume. Now here's where things get genuinely interesting, and a little uncomfortable if you're a Rory fan. Just days before the playoffs began, a well-known CBS Sports golf analyst voiced something a lot of insiders have been quietly wondering. He said, in essence, that Rory McIlroy plays his best golf when he has a very specific carrot dangling in front of him, a clear, motivating target, and right now, that carrot might not be visible. His theory? McIlroy's true focus this fall isn't the FedEx Cup playoffs at all. It's what comes after, a stretch of golf on the European Tour, including defending his Irish Open title and chasing a tournament win that has eluded him for years. If that's true, it raises an uncomfortable possibility that Rory could be physically present in Memphis, St. Louis, and potentially Atlanta, while mentally already halfway across the Atlantic. But here's the counterpoint, and it's a big one. Rory McIlroy chasing a record 4th FedEx Cup, something no player in the history of the PGA Tour has ever done, is about as large a carrot as professional golf can offer. History-making records have a strange way of reigniting motivation in players who look checked out on paper. The question isn't whether the incentive exists. It's whether Rory can find it in time. Let's talk mechanics for a second, because understanding the stakes makes everything that follows hit harder. The FedEx Cup playoffs are structured in 3 stages. First, Memphis, the FedEx St. Jude Championship, where the full 70-man field battles it out, and only the top 50 advance to Stage 2. Simply qualifying for Memphis already guarantees a player their PGA Tour card for next season and a spot in the Players' Championship. That's the baseline. But baseline isn't why Rory McIlroy plays golf. From Memphis, the field narrows to 50 for the BMW Championship in St. Louis. Survive that, and the top 30 advance to the season finale, the Tour Championship at East Lake in Atlanta. Making the Tour Championship alone comes with massive rewards, a 2-year exemption, a spot in the Masters, and clearance into other majors down the line. But the real prize sits at East Lake. Under the current playoff format, the points reset, and it becomes a clean, 72-hole shootout. Whoever wins that tournament outright becomes the FedEx Cup champion. $10 million. A 5-year exemption. And if it's Rory, a 4th title that no one else in PGA Tour history has ever claimed. So here's the honest, unromantic truth: Rory doesn't need to dominate Memphis. He doesn't even need to win it. He needs to survive, climb, and be playing his best golf exactly when it matters most, at East Lake, when everything resets and the slate is wiped clean. That's actually good news for him, if the skeptics are right that his motivation has been dormant. He has 3 weeks to find it. He only truly needs it to peak once. If you've followed Rory's career closely, you'll know this isn't the first time he's looked shaky heading into a big moment before flipping a switch. His run to the 2025 Masters victory is proof of exactly that pattern: years of near misses and heartbreak, followed by an explosion of form at the exact moment it mattered most. Rory McIlroy has built an entire career out of proving doubters wrong at the 11th hour. But he's also had stretches where the doubters were simply right, where the pressure built, the putts didn't fall, and the moment passed him by. That duality is what makes him one of the most fascinating athletes to watch in any sport. You genuinely do not know, heading into a pressure moment, which version of Rory McIlroy is going to show up. And that uncertainty is exactly what makes these next 3 weeks must-watch golf. There's a bigger picture here too. McIlroy is 37 years old. He's not at the beginning of his prime anymore. He's deep into the back half of a legendary career, and every season from here forward carries a little more weight than the last. A fourth FedEx Cup wouldn't just be a nice addition to his resume. It would be a statement that he's still the standard, even as a new generation of golfers, some barely out of their teens, starts kicking down the door. If he falls short, it won't be a disaster. Nobody's going to call his career a failure over one playoff run. But it will add fuel to a narrative that's already forming, that the window for Rory McIlroy to keep adding record-breaking achievements to his legacy is beginning to close, just as hungrier, younger talent is rising to take his place. That's the real tension underneath all of this. It's not really about one trophy in Memphis. It's about whether Rory McIlroy still has enough left to keep rewriting golf history, or whether we're starting to watch the slow, graceful decline of a legend. So here's where things stand as the playoffs get underway. Rory McIlroy is walking into Memphis outside the top 10 for the first time in 5 years. He's ice cold, not having competed since the Open Championship. He's facing the best player in the world, a hungry defending champion, and a fresh wave of young talent that isn't afraid of his name. And there are legitimate, public questions about whether his motivation is even fully locked in for this specific stretch of golf. And yet, he's here. He committed. He didn't skip it the way he did last year. That decision alone tells you something. Whatever is going on beneath the surface, some part of Rory McIlroy wanted to be standing on that tee in Memphis chasing history. Over the next 3 weeks, we're going to find out which version of him shows up. The one who has authored some of the most dramatic comebacks in modern golf history. Or the one who, according to insiders, might already have his mind somewhere else entirely. Either way, this is one of the storylines of the entire golf season, and it's only just getting started. If this breakdown helped you understand exactly what's at stake for Rory McIlroy this playoff season, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We're going to be tracking every twist of this story, from Memphis to St. Louis to East Lake, and trust me, based on everything we just laid out, there's a very good chance this isn't going to be a quiet 3 weeks. Drop a comment and let me know. Do you think Rory finds that motivation and makes a run at history? Or does this playoff stretch fizzle out the way the skeptics are predicting? I'll see you in the next one.